From the Mountnear Global Headquarters in Bay Area, California, this is the CBS Evening News.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Alicio Lessa. The Vatican's Sistine Chapel is now closed, and a conclave date has been set. Cardinals will meet to elect Pope Francis' successor on May 7th. Here is a recap of Saturday's funeral and the latest from Rome.
As day broke in Rome on Saturday, the faithful and the curious began to arrive in St. Peter's Square to pay final tribute to Pope Francis. They were joined by 50 heads of state and delegations from 130 countries worldwide. A global show of respect for a man who had tried to reconnect the Catholic Church with the people, like Ida Benson from Austin, Texas.
Honestly, I'm trying to keep it together. I'm pretty overwhelmed for the opportunity to be here. I lost a child 6 years ago, and because of him, I am here. My son is right next to him, guiding him and welcoming into his kingdom.
Held with pomp and ceremony in the splendor of the Basilica, the service was simplified by Francis before his death and referenced his service and humility. His body was then slowly driven through the streets of Rome as mourners lined the route to his burial place outside the Vatican, the first pope buried beyond those walls in over a century. Instead, he chose the Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore, where he prayed on the first day of his papacy in 2013, alone during the coronavirus pandemic, and later leading prayers for peace in Ukraine in 2022.
He's done his work, what he needed to do on this earth, and he's with God now.
He now rests in the earth in a corner of the church he chose. His headstone reads simply, Franciscus. So many people down in the square told us they will miss Pope Francis for being a voice for the voiceless at a time of growing authoritarianism around the world. Now it'll be up to the cardinals at the conclave next week to elect the new pope if the church will follow down that same path. Chris Lipsey, CBS News, Rome.
Thank you, Chris. President Trump's 100th day in office was yesterday, but a new CBS News poll is showing that his approval rating is falling significantly. Erica Brown has more.
It's an honor to be with this incredible group of champions, great team.
On the eve of his 100th day in office, President Trump met with the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles at the White House before signing 2 executive orders, including one aimed at sanctuary cities.
It will direct the Attorney General and Secretary of Homeland Security to publish a list of state and local jurisdictions that obstruct the enforcement of federal immigration laws.
The Trump administration touted its immigration crackdown with posters of people it identified as undocumented who were arrested for various crimes.
This is the police with a search warrant.
And over the weekend, DEA agents raided a nightclub in Colorado, saying they arrested more than 100 undocumented migrants and seized drugs and weapons. According to the CBS News poll, 56% of Americans approve of the president's program to deport immigrants who are in the United States illegally.
America's borders are now secure because of President Trump.
The White House, though, is facing questions about due process after 3 young children, all U.S. citizens, were removed with their mothers who were deported to Honduras. Border Czar Tom Homan defended those removals at the White House Monday.
If you choose to have a U.S. citizen child, knowing you're in this country legally, you put yourself in that position. You put your family in that position.
Homan said the administration has carried out approximately 139,000 deportations since President Trump returned to office. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
Still ahead here on the CBS Evening News on tonight's Roundup, we interview Cameron Diaz on the Jennifer Hudson Show season finale. On tonight's Evening Inside, we look at changes to student loans in the United States, now impacting borrowers. And no one leaves the theater humming the set. That's next on the CBS Evening News.
I must really enjoy playing with toilets.
Weird. Let's explain how we got here. Clorox did an experiment measuring people's brain waves and found that petting puppies feels pretty good.
Oh my goodness, hello?
Not surprising, but you know what feels even better? Cleaning a toilet.
Really?
For him it did.
That is crazy.
Whoa! And for these participants, clean felt better than getting a massage, playing video games, and getting their nails done. Rethink what makes you feel good.
After 3 years of comedy, entertainment CEOs interviews, all the way to wrestling champion interviews, The Jennifer Hudson Show ends after 3 seasons at CBS Media Ventures. We interviewed the host, Cameron Diaz, on how he felt. What was the biggest challenge you faced while making the show?
One of the biggest challenges I faced was definitely the technicians, because they all act like they can't do their jobs.
How are you feeling now that it's coming to an end?
How do I feel now that it's coming to the end? I feel really sad, to be honest. I really did love the show. It was really everything to me.
Was there a moment that really hit you that this chapter was closing?
A chapter that really hit me hard was, I want to say, when I first came back after having Toast. It was a really hard chapter because it was postpartum. It was 2 weeks postpartum. And it was really hard for me to leave him at home.
What's something viewers didn't see that you'll always remember?
Didn't see that. I always remember it's a funny one. I remember we were backstage getting ready, and Martin over going bust into my dressing room talking about, "Oh my God, Cameron, what? Why are you not ready? Oh my God, why'd you disconnect?" Yada yada. First of all, I disconnected because Mars' big self kept jumping up and down.
What's next for you after the show?
Honestly, I'm just gonna be Mountnear helping out with events and stuff. I don't really have anything else.
Would you ever return to hosting ever again?
I would really be down to come back to hosting. It would be fun. It'd be an experience, especially if it's like something different.
If you could give one piece of advice to your younger self when you first started the show, what would it be?
Piece of advice I give myself: don't be nervous, because everybody's gonna like you for being yourself. Be original, which you're doing well. You're being very original now. And don't let anybody tell you that you're not gonna be able to do great. You know you are.
The last episode of The Jennifer Hudson Show will air this spring on your local CBS stations. We'll be right back with tonight's Evening Inside.
How to know if you should reach out to a friend. Your friend might be worried, sad,
Grumpy, angry,
stressed, weird, rebellious,
anxious, antisocial,
lonely,
sleeping less,
sleeping more,
eating less,
eating more. Look, there are a lot of things to watch out for, but you know your friend best. So if they're not acting themselves, why not say something? Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
People all across the country are seeing big changes when it comes to their student loans. On Evening Inside, Nancy Chen reports on how borrowers may be affected by this change.
Have you always wanted to be a teacher?
Yes. I wanted to do something that was going to make an impact on people, on my community, on the world.
It's not about the paycheck. It would be nice if it was more, right? But that's the heart of public service, is doing it for others.
Corey Mason and Rachel Dubrell both teach at a public high school in Norwich, Connecticut. Their jobs requiring advanced degrees, they say, that force them to take out tens of thousands of dollars in federal student loans.
You cannot miss a payment. That then jeopardizes other things that you have to pay for.
Oh, you get it.
For more than a decade now, repaying those loans on time has meant hard choices.
That's how it should be spelled?
Every extra penny I feel like I had went towards this debt.
Those payments counted towards eventual debt relief under the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. The deal: work for the public sector, and student loans would be canceled after 10 years or 120 payments. To make their payments more affordable, the teachers enrolled in a program known as SAVE, which based their loan payments on their incomes. But last summer, the program was blocked in court, leaving its roughly 8 million borrowers in jeopardy. Payments also no longer counted towards debt forgiveness.
and it was essentially frozen. Like our progress was frozen at that point. We're literally living in this limbo of not knowing where the paperwork is. There's no phone number, no fax number, no email for them.
In February, the Department of Education took down online applications for all income-driven repayment plans for 5 weeks. The Education Department said the applications were taken down to revise the forms, and it expects loan providers to resume processing by May 10th. But some advocates say the backlog could still take months or even years to clear.
This is chaos.
Mike Pierce heads a Student Borrower Protection Center, which has filed a lawsuit against the Education Department on behalf of the union Dubrell and Mason belong to.
These public service workers who are doing everything we've asked of them, serving in our communities, are stuck in debt even though they have a legal right to be debt-free.
Borrowers like Dubrell and Mason are left not knowing when their loans will be forgiven, both within just 5 payments of the required 120.
What does it mean to be that close and be in limbo right now? It's like heartbreaking. We've been working so hard towards like finally being able to say, okay, this debt is done.
And then now to literally be in the last inches of it and to have it just, the floor fall out from under us is very painful.
The turmoil happens against the backdrop of steep job cuts in the Education Department, nearly half its workforce. On top of that, the president plans to move the student loan program to a different agency altogether, a potentially seismic shift as financial futures hang in the balance. Nancy Chen, New York.
That's this week's Evening Inside. We'll be right back.
Statistically, the world is losing color. But who wants a gray world when we could have this? Honey yellow, periwinkle, indigold. Things stay the same when the same is where you stay. But in hundreds of Delta destinations, simply opening your eyes can open your world.
To close off this broadcast, we leave you with the time-lapse of our studio. As they say on Broadway, parts of the show in show business is magic. You don't know how it happens. And that's the CBS Evening News. I'm Alicia Lessa. Good night.